The restaurant wasn't the kind of place where billionaires usually dined. Tucked between a quiet bookstore and a florist on a slightly worn street corner, it had a simple glass front, warm yellow lighting, and a hand-painted sign that read, "Welcome," in slightly uneven lettering. The tables were close together, the chairs didn't quite match, and the menu, laminated and creased at the edges, offered comfort food that reminded people of home more than anything fancy. Yet on that particular evening, everything felt just a little different. A sleek black car had pulled up outside, drawing curious glances from passers-by. The kind of car that didn't belong in this neighborhood. From it stepped a man in a tailored suit so precise it seemed almost sculpted onto him. His shoes shined under the fading sunlight, and his watch, subtle but unmistakably expensive, caught the eye of anyone paying attention. Inside, most people didn't notice him right away. But the manager did. Rashid wiped his hands nervously on his apron and rushed forward, his smile stretching wider than usual. "Good evening, sir. Welcome." The man gave a brief nod, his expression calm, almost unreadable. "Table for one." Of course, Rashid said quickly, leading him toward the best table in the restaurant, the one near the window. At that very moment, Aisha was balancing 3 plates in her hands, weaving through the narrow spaces between tables with practiced ease. She had been working double shifts all week, her feet aching, her shoulders tight, but her movements remained smooth, precise. Years of experience had trained her body to keep going, no matter how tired she felt. She noticed the man as she passed. Not because of his clothes, though they were striking, or the way the manager hovered nervously beside him. It was something else, something in the way he observed the room. Quietly, intently, as if he were taking notes no one else could see. Aisha placed the plates down at her table and offered a quick smile to the customers before heading back toward the counter. Rashid intercepted her halfway. "Take care of him," he whispered urgently, tilting his head toward the suited man. "Very important guest." Aisha glanced over again, then nodded. "Got it." She approached the table with her usual calm demeanor, menu in hand. "Good evening," she said, her voice steady and warm. "Would you like something to drink while you look at the menu?" The man looked up at her. His eyes were sharp, observant, but not unkind. "Water. And, I'll take your recommendation." Aisha didn't hesitate. "Our slow-cooked beef stew is the most popular. And the grilled chicken with herb rice is a close second. Depends on whether you want something heavy or light." He studied her for a moment, as if weighing more than just her words. "Beef stew. Good choice," she replied with a small smile, jotting it down. "I'll have that right out for you." As she turned to leave, he spoke again. "What's your name?" She paused, slightly surprised. "Aisha." "Thank you, Aisha." She nodded politely and headed back to the kitchen. The evening continued at its usual pace, orders coming in, plates going out, the soft hum of conversation filling the air. But at the window table, something subtle was unfolding. The man, unknown to anyone there except Rashid, was Arman Halim, the CEO of a global tech company worth over $100 million. His name was known in boardrooms, on business channels, and in financial headlines. But here, he was just another customer. Or at least, that's what everyone thought. Except he wasn't here for dinner. He was here because something in his company was breaking. For the past 6 months, his business had been bleeding money in ways that didn't make sense. Systems that once ran flawlessly were suddenly inefficient. Customer complaints had increased. Internal reports contradicted each other. Executives blamed departments blamed software, and the software teams blamed unexpected anomalies. Millions of dollars were being lost, not in one dramatic crash, but in small, quiet leaks that no one could fully trace. Arman didn't trust the reports anymore. So he had started doing something unusual. He left his office. He visited places his company served, observed systems in the real world, and watched how ordinary people interacted with them. Because sometimes, the biggest problems weren't visible in spreadsheets, they were hidden in plain sight. In this small restaurant, it used one of his company's management systems. When Aisha returned with his water, she noticed something odd. The tablet on his table, the one used for digital ordering, was open, not on the menu, but on a back-end screen. Rows of data, numbers, timestamps. "That screen's not for customers," she said gently. Armin looked up, a faint hint of a smile appearing. I know. She frowned slightly. Then how did you? Let's just say I'm familiar with the system. She hesitated, then leaned slightly closer, lowering her voice. Then you probably know it's been acting weird. His expression sharpened. Weird how? Aisha glanced toward the counter to make sure Rashid wasn't watching too closely. Orders disappear sometimes. Or get delayed. Customers think the kitchen is slow, but the kitchen never even gets the order. Armin sat back, fully attentive now. How often does that happen? More than it should, she replied. At least a few times every shift. He tapped the screen thoughtfully. And what do you do when it happens? We double-check everything manually, she said. I started writing orders down before entering them. Just in case. Armin's eyes narrowed slightly. Show me. She hesitated again. This felt strange. She was just a waitress, after all. But something about his tone, calm, focused, genuinely interested, made her nod. Wait here, she said, quickly heading to the counter. She returned with a small notepad, its pages filled with neat handwriting. I write the time, table number, and order, she explained. Then I enter it into the system. Armin leaned forward, comparing the notes to the data on the tablet. His fingers moved quickly, scrolling, cross-referencing. Then he stopped. There, he said quietly. Aisha leaned closer. What? He pointed to a timestamp. This order. It's in your notebook, but not in the system log. She blinked. Exactly. He scrolled further. Another mismatch. Then another. A pattern was forming. Aisha watched as his expression changed, not dramatically, but enough for her to notice. The calm curiosity shifted into something sharper. More intense. Your system, she said carefully, it skips entries when the connection lags. Just for a second. But it doesn't retry properly. Armin looked up at her. What did you say? It doesn't retry properly, she repeated, a bit more confident now. When the network flickers, the order gets lost between sending and confirming. There's no fallback. Silence settled between them. For a moment, the noise of the restaurant seemed to fade. Armin stared at her, his mind racing. Engineers, analysts, entire teams had spent months trying to figure out why the system was failing. They had run diagnostics, built models, analyzed logs. And here, in a small neighborhood restaurant, a waitress had just described the problem in seconds. Not just the symptom, the cause. How did you figure that out? He asked. Aisha shrugged slightly. I noticed it only happens when the internet slows down. And only for a second. So I thought, maybe it's not saving properly in that moment. He exhaled slowly, leaning back in his chair. Hundreds of thousands of transactions across different businesses. Small, momentary network interruptions. No proper retry mechanism. Each missed entry, tiny. But at scale, millions lost. He let out a quiet, almost incredulous laugh. A $100 million problem, he murmured. Fixed in seconds. Aisha tilted her head. What? He shook his head, standing up. The movement caught attention. Rashid hurried over again, worry on his face. Sir, is everything all right? Armin reached into his pocket and placed a card on the table. More than all right, he said calmly. Rashid picked up the card, his eyes widening as he read the name. The color drained from his face. Aisha, Armin said, turning back to her. She looked at him, confused. You just solved a problem my entire company couldn't fix for 6 months. Her eyes widened slightly. What? He gave a small, genuine smile, one that hadn't appeared all evening. What I do next, he said, is something this company won't forget. The room seemed to hold its breath. Rashid stood frozen. The customers nearby began to sense something unusual. A shift in the air. And Aisha, she stood there, still holding her notepad, not fully understanding what had just happened, but knowing, somehow, that her life had just changed.